Please share your thoughts in comments and like this video.
Meet Raizel, the strongest human in his world. He was lamenting about his research which had failed. His ultimate goal was to defeat superior life forms in his world, so he decided to craft a weapon which would help him to achieve that. If it succeeded, he would have been able to create a super heavyweight sword with a density that's on par with a neutron star, but it seemed that it was impossible to harness that type of magic. Since his research failed, he decided to go to a nearby populated city for a break and activated his flight magic, which would enable him to fly. Since there's a limit to soloing, he wasn't able to confront the ultimate life forms alone, so he decided to find some teammates. Most of his friends always refused to team up with him anyway, so it was going to be only hard. When he was thinking that, a portal opened in front of him. He stopped in the middle of the sky and wondered what could be wrong. He found that there was no problem in his flight magic and pondered about what was the cause for that space distortion. If it starts to suck things up, it would cause a catastrophe. That's when a hand came out of the portal and Raizel was shocked to see the unexpected development. A beautiful girl with yellow eyes and blonde hair came out from that portal. She introduced herself as a summoning goddess, Raizel. Silence ensued between them for a few minutes and Raizel laughed to see a weird girl who approached him claiming to be a goddess. After composing himself, he asked for a clear explanation. The goddess revealed that she was a goddess from another world and she traveled to this new world in hopes of summoning a hero. Wherever she appeared, she would be in the vicinity of the strongest person and asked him if he was the one. Raizel thought she was crazy as she proclaimed herself as a goddess and talked about summoning, which was like a fairy tale. The goddess replied it was not a fairy tale. Raizel was shocked because she had managed to slip through his anti-magic field and managed to read his thoughts. Raizel decided to follow her and agreed that he was the strongest human but not in the world. He believed if he would be able to defeat superior life forms if he had someone like her with him. So he agreed to go with her to make her owe him a favor and use her in a battle with the superior life forms. He never believed that she was a goddess and she was happy as Raizel agreed to go with her. He asked what he had to do and she replied that he had to follow the king's order and had to defeat the demon lord. She asked him if he was ready and Raizel agreed. She placed her hand on the portal and the portal suddenly began to emit a powerful wave. It began to suck the body of him into it. He decided to not struggle as he won't get anywhere without taking any risks. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a new place. He was amazed to see the otherworld architect and a middle-aged man welcomed them all and proclaimed himself as the king of this country who summoned all of them. He turned and saw 3 others who were also summoned there, the same as him. The king was mad that was only 4 heroes were summoned this time and Raizel watched the other 3 who have a weak magic for being heroes. He wondered if they were really the best of their worlds. He decided to look at their statuses but decided to stop when a king's servant began to explain about this world. The beings in this world are divided into 3 different groups: humans, demons and demi-humans, but demi-humans are a minority so they were of no threat. But the real problem was the demons. It was same like Raizel's world. The demons and humans were at a war for a long time, but recently the demons' influence started to increase at an alarming rate, and if it continued they would soon become under demons' control, and so they called forth the heroes. The other 3 heroes were civil servant Frodo, adventurer, Leol and mercenary, Banza and the unidentified Raizel. It was just like how Raizel hunted demons in his world as training and all the countries around the world started thanking him, so he was confident as he had already done this once. The king's servant requested the heroes for their help, promising a lifetime reward if they were to defeat the demon lord. The other 3 heroes agreed but Raizel remained silent. They were asked to place their hands on a crystal ball to check their combat capabilities. Raizel analyzed the crystal ball, which would detect the magical power and one's control over it and convert it into a number. Leo moved first as he was the first one to arrive out of the 4. He placed his hand on the ball and it shined brightly and displayed various characters. The king's servant went ahead to check it and announced Leol's combat power of 4097. The others were amazed to see it as it was a high amount of combat power, but Raizel wondered if those numbers were really that good. Next, Frodo checked and attained combat power of 3664, followed by Banza with a combat power of 3776. As the king's servant was amazed by everyone's power, he called the last one to check and it was Raizel. The others were anticipating his result as his status showed something unidentified. Raizel placed his hand, but the crystal ball showed no reaction. Raizel complained that the crystal ball didn't seem to be working. The king's servant looked at the ball one time and was shocked to see the result. He asked Raizel to try it one more time. After checking it, he announced that Raizel had 0 combat power. The king shouted at the servant and he explained that the crystal really wasn't broken. Raizel tried to explain, but the king asked him to go out in an instant. The king didn't want to recognize one with 0 combat power as hero and asked him to get out of the castle at this instance. Raizel tried to explain that it was an error and he could use magic. He searched the surroundings to prove it to them. He took a wooden piece and used magic atom reconstruction, which requires at least 7,000 combat power to do it, and he felt it was the best example to show off. He turned the wood to diamond successfully, where even the king's servant was surprised about it. But that stupid king refused to believe it, as the magic to turn wood to diamond doesn't exist in their world. Raizel tried to convince him as it was the common spell in his world, but the king framed him as a scammer and asked him to get out of his castle. The other heroes laughed at him using various insults for lacking any power. Raizel turned to see the goddess, but she completely ignored him. The king called for the guards, who came and arrested him. The king ordered them to exile Raizel, as he gave the gem as a gift to Raizel, which he crafted himself. He was chased out of the castle and he lamented at his current situation in the streets, where even the bypassees tried to ignore him. He couldn't believe that he got betrayed like those in games. He decided to change the pace and think about the future. He first wanted to check the information around him, so he went to a shop to sell the diamond created. He showed the diamond to the owner, who asked Raizel if he got it from a jewel shop. Raizel replied that he made it artificially and asked the owner if he knew any shops that would work on artificial jewels, since he decided to sell it to an appropriate store to avoid someone framing him as a scammer. The owner asked him to not mess with him, as he had never heard of an artificial diamond. Raizel asked him to use it as an abrasive or a cutter, but the owner berated him for it, as he could just live for 10 years freely if he could sell it. That's when Raizel came to realize that the people in this world still didn't create diamonds artificially. The owner asked him to go to a jewel shop and refused to believe in artificially made diamonds. But Raizel needed to get some money fast, and it would also be problematic if someone found that the diamond was artificially made. He inquired about the cost to stay in the inn for one night and decided to sell it 7 times of that amount. The owner was shocked to hear this and asked Raizel if he started a new charity business. Raizel explained that he just wanted to avoid being called a scammer. The owner was quite an honest man and he refused to buy it from him for dirt cheap. Raizel then proposed an idea to give him some amount as a deposit, where the owner could see the value in the diamond and sell it for him. The owner also liked this idea and they concluded the deal. It took some time, but he left the store with the money. He came to understand that he had a rough road ahead, as the alchemy in this world isn't very advanced and the currency worth is a whole lot different as well. Raizel finally settled at Marie's inn. He felt so tired and he exclaimed that he had really ended up in an unbelievable place. He decided to reassess the situation. He never believed that the goddess was a real deal and he thought that it was just a space transfer magic, but the standard of magic development in this world is way too different from his world. He was shocked, as he thought if he had really come to a different world. It was the only explanation with the highest probability. He used quantum motion analysis magic, which displayed different sections of the laws of physics, and there were a lot of materials in that list as well which he didn't know about. He finally concluded that he was really in another world and it was not some transfer magic by a self-proclaimed goddess. It was safe to think that the king exiling him was outside of her expectations. He wondered what he should do so that he could satisfy the goddess, which would make her return to his world. He wondered if defeating the demon lord would satisfy her, but the word demon lord weighed his mind. There was no hierarchy in his world among the demons, where all demons were thugs who were skilled in magic and destroyed everything. But that's how it worked in his world. Since the demons in this world have hierarchy among them, they must also be intellect. It was also possible for them to be not evil. He had only a little information to decide anything, and it was impossible to get help from other humans as he was exiled. So he decided to go and meet the demon lord directly. He tried to use the magic of his previous world and thankfully it worked. He used storage skill and picked a reckoned satellite, which was a device that could fly into the sky to survey the ground's surface via satellite image. Since it was usable, he released it to sketch a map towards a demon castle and decided to take a rest in the meantime. He woke up only at the next morning as he was really tired than he had expected. The map was also sketched successfully and he stored it in his space. Suddenly he felt a presence and used high detection magic to feel the surroundings. There were 5 of them and he interrupted their voice transmission magic. He wondered if the assassins were sent by the king. He decided to go out and the assassins noticed him and confirmed that he was the summoned hero that was dragged out by the guards yesterday. From their conversation, it was confirmed that the king was the one who sent them and it looked like Raizel completely made an enemy out of him. The assassins discussed their plan without knowing that Raizel was hearing it. They planned to bring back the head of him as the evidence of assassination. Since they were sent after him, he decided to use them to his advantage. He made his way into a desolate place. Since there was no one in the vicinity of Raizel, the assassins started to move. They launched a poison dart to the back of his head. Raizel analyzed it completely and made a decision to let it hit him as it was easy for him to dispel a poison of this level. As it hit him, he fell down. The assassins gathered around him as they thought that they had killed him and planned to cut off his head. Raizel used swift movement and moved behind them in an instant. Then he used lightning magic and struck it behind their heads. All of them lost their conscience and Raizel started to implement his new plan. He took a multifunctional stem cell from his inventory which serves as the base of clones. He intended to use it for combat training but he kept failing to create clones with high combat abilities so he stored it away. It might not be able to copy his abilities but it still could pretend to be his corpse. He used cellular differentiation on it and made a perfect clone of himself. He attached the dart, clothes and also let the poison kill his clone. After placing it, he casted area recovery magic to let the assassins regain their consciousness so they'll take care of the rest. Since he completed his business, he decided to head to where the demon lord lives. The assassins regained their consciousness and were shocked initially as they thought that the target escaped them but much to their relief, the target was dead lying on the floor. They cut his head off and collected their evidence of their assassination and left the place. Only a headless body could be found in that place. Raizel used the map he generated before and reached the Demon Lord Castle. When he tried to enter, the security guards stopped him and inquired the reason for his visit. Raizel mentioned that he wanted to meet the Demon Lord. The guards were angered by this and asked him to not screw with them. It would be hard to believe for anyone if their enemy's race had come to meet their lord. Raizel apologized and replied that he would make an appointment. The guards grew even angrier at that as they could never leave a human near their lord. From his clothes, they could tell that he was a summoned hero. Raizel agreed that he was indeed a summoned hero but revealed that he was exiled by the king. He also told them about the assassination and revealed the reason that he wanted to meet the demon lord. But the guards still refused to believe him as the same event had happened in the past where the hero proclaimed that the enemy's enemy is a friend and entered the castle to kill the demon lord. So they resolved to not fall for the same tricks again. It was troublesome for Raizel as some idiot had already used that strategy before. While he could use brainwashing, it would also make him an enemy of the demons. He showed a tower where he could feel a sorry excuse of the teleportation obstruction barrier was set up. The guards were enraged by it as he just claimed that the sorry excuse barrier was constructed by their demon lord omnipotent barrier. His comrade berated him for revealing the barrier core and Raizel thanked him for this freebie. Since the guard already made the mistake, he challenged Raizel to pass through that teleportation magic as he was confident of their lord's abilities. Raizel accepted the challenge and he also didn't think that he needed to use that high level of teleportation for such a simple barrier. He activated his magic which totally shocked the guards and teleported from there. The guards were shocked to see Raizel vanish from the site. He deconstructed his body into tiny fragments and reached the destination and constructed his body back. He walked through the demon lord's room where a little girl with purple eyes and hair inquired about his identity. As Raizel met the demon lord, he could feel that she had magic power 100 times more than the guards at the gate and she also seemed to possess considerable strength. The demon lord was surprised to see a human in her room and shocked to find that her barrier didn't work. Since she revealed that she was the one who constructed the barrier, Raizel found out that she was the Demon Lord. She confirmed that she was indeed Demon Lord and asked for his purpose. Raizel apologized first for passing through the barrier without asking. He also mentioned that he didn't damage the barrier that she put much effort into making, but she felt it was already ridiculous enough that he managed to pass through her barrier. The Demon Lord wondered about Raizel's identity and his purpose there. Raizel introduced himself and told all the things that unfolded before. Since he was neither on humans' or demons' side, he wanted to ask her about this world. She was clearly mad as Raizel tried again to confirm whether she was really the Demon Lord. Any Demon Lord would find it ridiculous to see a hero come to their castle to ask a question. She activated her magic to attack him, and Raizel clearly understood that he had chosen the wrong method. He destroyed her magic by countering it. She used various magic and it was all countered by him, and Raizel pondered about a way to convince her, as he didn't have any proof that he was fired from the hero job. She had to accept that Raizel was quite competent, where Raizel still pondered about a way to clear the misunderstanding. Suddenly, the Demon Lord's subordinates entered the room asking for her well-being because they heard the noise from outside. They were shocked to see a human inside the Demon Lord's chamber. The Demon Lord warned her subordinates to be careful, as even her attack didn't work against him, but they still decided to fight him as it was their duty to protect her. Raizel noticed that her subordinates' power was only 80% of the Demon Lord. He believed that it was best to stop proving them that he was harmless, but killing her subordinates would be a declaration of war. So he decided to injure them gravely to show his threat. He wanted to make them believe that talking it out peacefully was the better option. He slashed their heads in an instant, and the Demon Lord shouted their names, Jeek and Serena, in worry. As the Demon Lord's subordinates were shocked by it, Raizel activated his magic and healed them. The head reattached itself, much to the shock of everyone. The Demon Lord was surprised to see her subordinates revived when Raizel asked them to not worry, as he never intended to kill them in the first place. But the Demon Lord clearly saw her subordinates' head severed just now. Raizel made a comment whether they thought that they would die if their heads were sent flying. Everyone was shocked at the weird response from him, and the Demon Lord countered that Raizel was the weird one because there never has been a precedent of a spell that lets someone survive after losing their head. Raizel ridiculed her for not having a clear understanding of magic, stating that no one criticized her due to her position as the reason. Serena tried to argue with him, claiming that the Demon Lord is the strongest of them all, but the Demon Lord asked her to stop. It was clear that Raizel was beyond their sense of common knowledge. Since Raizel claimed that he was there to gain information, the Demon Lord asked him to inquire to her anything he wished, and he was glad that she finally felt like answering. Her subordinates were worried about her, as they didn't know the human who barged into their lord castle was a friend or foe. But the Demon Lord felt that it was better than to lose without any hope. Besides that, she also felt that Raizel would become an ally if they talked it out. She asked them to not have any concerns and ordered them to stand by outside. Raizel was glad that the situation seemed like it would settle down. Jeek and Serena accepted her command and went outside. After they went, the Demon Lord and Raizel sat down to have a conversation. She asked Raizel to ask her whatever questions he had. Raizel inquired whether it was true that the human race was about to be dominated by the rapidly expanding demon race. She replied that it was wrong. When he inquired which part was wrong, the Demon Lord mentioned that everything was wrong. She explained that demons have not grown in firepower in hundreds of years. Rather than growing stronger, they have been growing weaker. In fact, they never had any thought of putting humans under their control. Instead, the humans were the ones forcing unfavorable conditions on them. She threw the document and asked him to have a read of it. It was the contract between the humans and demons. Raizel could feel the king's magic in it and was shocked to find that it was the original document and not a copy. The contract says, if any human were to commit a crime in the demon's borders, they would be judged by the laws of humans. Humans would not bear any responsibility if anything were to happen to the demons in humans' borders. Raizel was shocked to see such an unfair contract. She explained that the Demon King a few generations ago was killed by the hero. It has always been the case for the strongest demon to become the Demon Lord. So the moment the Demon Lord died, it was clear that no one would be able to defeat the hero by then. If they were not to abide by these conditions, the hero would take her throne, and so she agreed to it as the peace treaty. They were also not able to kill the surrendered enemies as it would only make them lose their trust of the surrounding countries, which was against the social norms. Raizel was clearly mad about it. He wondered why the goddess summoned him if she already had such a powerful hero. He wondered if she would summon a new hero every time another died. He asked her if that hero was still alive. She confirmed it as she would have destroyed the contract if it weren't for that. Raizel still had a question why he was summoned there. The demon explained that he was lucky that he was exiled, because he just barely escaped dead. She revealed that Raizel was summoned there as a sacrifice and people like him were called as sacrifices. Shocked by this piece of news, he asked her to explain it in more detail. She replied that about 600 years ago, which is about the time of the first summoning of a hero. Apparently at that time, the hero was nowhere near as strong. He was no match against the 4 heavenly kings who were parents of Jeek and Serena who came there now to protect her. The higher-ups from humans were extremely discouraged and ordered the goddess to bring a stronger hero. All the heroes that came after that were pretty much the same. In the end nothing worked, so they made a new magic tool which would be able to combine the heroes. Raizel finally understood it all, but he wondered how they were able to build a magic tool that advanced. It was only possible if the goddess herself made it, and his guesses were right. The combined hero was so much stronger than the demon lord that time, and he easily defeated the demon lord. With him on their side, they made unfavorable conditions to the demons and continued to summon more heroes. They would summon heroes and have them fight monsters and demons of this world. When they have grown their limits, they'll let the combined hero absorb them. As they continue to do that process, the combined hero is now leagues stronger than he was back then. The king made an excuse that he was making a stronger hero because he didn't know when a strong demon lord would appear, and that's about everything in this world. In conclusion, Raizel's enemies were the goddess and that hero. He came to this world to make that goddess owe him a favor, but she made her helper a sacrifice. So he decided to not do favors for her. He asked the demon lord to allow him to check the information. He gathered information with his satellite analysis, while the demon lord wondered what he was trying to do as she just sensed only detection magic. He surveyed the castle and found a room where the combined hero was in. All the souls observed by him didn't even look human anymore. Since he found the magic tool and combined hero in the king's castle, he believed that everything the demon lord said had to be true. The demon lord was surprised as Raizel just now scouted the palace without getting caught. He replied that it was easy as he had enough tools for that. She wasn't able to understand such high-level stuff and wondered if he really needed to ask her questions to find anything. Raizel replied that she was helpful, otherwise he wouldn't have thought of searching the palace for the combined hero or anything. He also thanked her for sharing the information about him becoming a sacrifice, and she accepted it. He wanted to corner the goddess and made her think that she had no choice but to send him back to his world, so he pondered about the best method to do that. It would work to have the combined hero as a hostage, but he believed that it wouldn't help the demon lord who helped him by sharing the information. He suddenly had an idea and asked the demon lord if she would like to defeat the combined hero with her own hands. Since the combined hero was the one who killed her ancestors and the cause of this unfavorable contract, it was her lifetime wish to defeat him as the current demon lord and descendant of the previous demon lords. As she agreed, Raizel was also glad about it. He decided to guide her personally and promised that he could give her enough power to surpass the combined hero. The demon lord wondered why he was going so far. Raizel replied that he wanted to go back to his world so that he needed to corner the goddess and also wanted to pay her back for her betrayal. She agreed to it as he also had something in it, but she asked for a method to get stronger. Raizel explained that the current combined hero was only 1/5 of his strength, but that level could be achieved with just sheer effort. It was easier to say than done, but Raizel assured her that it would work out as long as she followed what he taught her, since she was the strongest of her race. He would teach her what parts she was lacking and ways to make up for it, and she would be able to vision herself defeating the combined hero. She agreed to the idea as Raizel was saying that much. Seeing her made up her mind, they agreed to the deal, and Raizel planned to start a Spartan-style training from the get-go, which scared her a little. She asked him to do it in moderation for the start.
She asked him to do it in moderation from the start as she was afraid of the word Sparta. Raizel asked her for a place to train. He wanted to have a simulation battle to analyze her current level. The demon lord pondered about it and mentioned that there is indeed one place which was a few kilometers away. She showed it in the map Raizel had. Even though it was far, Raizel had his own way to solve it. He held her close to him and she wondered if they were really going to fly this close. Raizel confirmed it and started his magic without her concern. He traveled from the demon lord's castle to the training ground within a few seconds. As they reached there, the demon lord was out of breath due to the shock. She also felt dizzy and vomited in a corner. She couldn't understand what magic it was as they traveled at a speed of flash. She overcame it as she was used to being surprised. She inquired about the device Raizel installed there which he had taken from his storage. Raizel explained that it was a phantom world or the people outside of it would see them like they were only doing light exercises. Raizel installed it so that she wouldn't have to worry about her subordinates watching her lose. She thanked him for being considerate, but deep down she exasperated at the trashy effects of that device. As she could chit-chat now, Raizel asked if she was ready. The demon lord agreed as well but mentioned that she was going all out this time. Thus the simulation battle between the summoned hero, Raizel, and the demon lord began. The demon lord pondered about where Raizel would start to attack. She was confident that she would be able to stop any attacks but decided to deflect it to another direction as a later choice. But Raizel disappeared from her sight. Raizel's mana spread around the air to conceal his presence. She won't be able to hit him when she can't even sense his presence. She decided to focus, believing that Raizel would gather his magic at one spot to attack. As she felt the magic behind her, she turned to attack. She activated her magic but an object hit behind her head and fell down. It was a sports ball but she still felt the pain when hit by that. Raizel mentioned that the ball would disappear in 3 seconds and asked her to dodge it first. As she heard the message by telepathy, she pondered about a way to dodge the ball. But Raizel mentioned that he was just using his body-strengthening magic in a mocking manner. He wanted to see how the demon lord would look when she was serious, which she mentioned before the fight. She was clearly mad and mentioned that she would dodge it for sure. Some time passed and the demon lord was somehow able to block it. Raizel then decided to check her magic firepower and asked her to use whatever magic she wanted. The demon lord could see that Raizel had been dropping his speed but it was not known whether it was intended or not. She decided to focus on accuracy rather than firepower so as not to miss the target. She created a frame cannon magic all around her and focused on his movement. Seeing the cannon magic, Raizel decided to raise a simple barrier just in case it did hit him. As the demon lord finally found his location, she fired her magic at him. It caused an enormous explosion upon its impact and created a smokescreen. The demon lord asked Raizel how her attack was. But unknown to her, Raizel was shocked to see that she managed to damage his barrier. She came running towards him to inquire about the results but fell down to her knees halfway because she was exhausted. Raizel was still in shock as one needed quite a large amount of mana to destroy a 3-dimensional barrier with 2-dimensional magic. He certainly didn't raise a weak barrier but he couldn't believe that she overcame the gap by just putting in enough mana. He extended his hand to help her stand up as she was still happy to hit him. He wondered how much firepower she could display with stronger magic. He complimented her and asked her to attack his whole barrier next. She asked for a timeout as she needed time to recompose herself. After a short break, she asked Raizel what he meant about a barrier. He asked her again to attack his barrier with her strongest magic. She wondered if it was really alright as her strongest magic would blow up the entire area. Raizel assured her to not worry as his barrier could absorb any attack. The demon lord is happy as she would be finally able to use her full strength in a battle and wonders how irregular Raizel is going to be. She launched her most powerful magic at Raizel. But much to her shock, her attack was absorbed completely as it was slurping a noodle. Raizel asked if that was all and the demon lord confirmed it and asked him if he had any problems with her result. She thought that she hadn't reached his expectations. She fell down when Raizel mentioned that there was no need to worry. He said that he understood one thing clearly and tried to say it but then remembered that he hadn't asked her name. The demon lord teased him for someone who sees nothing in his dreams. As it was also her fault for not mentioning it before, she introduced herself as the demon lord Mersha. She asked Raizel for help to defeat the combined hero. Raizel mentioned that there's no need to feel down as she already had extremely strong magic powers. But her techniques on magic formations still need to be worked on. Mersha didn't understand any of it and asked him to make it simpler. Raizel explained with a tank and hose as an example that one could increase the pressure of the water by pressing the end. For example, a human couldn't even begin to compare their mana to a dragon, but by practicing one's magic control, anyone could do the impossible. A dragon couldn't use complicated spells, so a human could win by using that. Basically, it means that Mersha, who had high magical output, could grow a lot stronger than an average person. Raizel decided to teach her three-dimensional magic first, but she didn't know what it meant. He needed to make up for the lack of knowledge and explained that two-dimension magic would only be able to create one layer, where in three-dimensional magic, the potential is unlimited. It basically means that she could make the magic become as large as she wants. Mersha understood the importance of third-dimensional magic, but she wondered how she would be able to use that, as she couldn't even use analysis to understand it. Raizel mentioned that he was also not able to use it since birth and he had a method of training for it. Mersha berated him for not telling her this first. But she still had one question. She wondered why Raizel wanted to train her when his goal was to return to his own world. He could just go and kill that hero himself to solve the problem. Raizel mentioned that there was two reasons why he was not doing that. First, he wanted to show gratitude to Mersha for sharing the information with him. And the second, he wanted to bring her to his world as a party member after making her stronger. But of course, if only Mersha wished to go along with him. He mentioned that he had an opponent he couldn't beat himself and he always needed a second hand in defeating that guy. He wanted to recruit someone worthy, and that's why he came to this world. But Mersha wondered if she would be able to face someone even when Raizel couldn't defeat it. Raizel assured that she was perfect, as he confirmed it already in the simulation battle just now. Even though he knew it was a difficult request, as Mersha is a demon lord who had to look after her people. But contrary to his expectations, Mersha agreed to go along with him. Though Raizel was doing this to thank her, she felt like getting help for free. So she decided to help him, as she didn't like to owe favors. Raizel thanked her as she agreed, but she mentioned that there was something she needed to ask about. Mersha had a younger sister about the same level as her, but she got a mysterious illness and her body had been getting weaker ever since. Mersha liked to have her sister as the demon lord candidate after her departure. But at this rate, her sister wouldn't be suitable for any combat-related duties. She asked Raizel for help and hoped that he could treat her. Although medicine was not his expertise, Raizel agreed to help what he could. Mersha urged Raizel to use his flight magic as soon as possible, as they wanted to go to her sister's room. It was located below her throne room where they met. But Raizel teased her not to vomit this time, and Mersha felt dizzy just thinking about it. Raizel decided to use a portal instead of flight magic this time in consideration. Mersha's sister, Cecil, had the same characteristics as Mersha, and she was reading a book to pass the time. Suddenly a portal appeared in her room which startled her. She thought it was an attack from the enemy. She wondered about the possibility of it happening, as the castle was already under her sister's barrier. But she was totally surprised when Mersha made an appearance from the portal carried by a man. Mersha apologized for surprising her. But Cecil wanted to know the identity of the man behind her and how they managed to use teleport. Because she thought Mersha's magic was always perfect. Mersha introduced Raizel like in a novel, exclaiming that he was the strongest man from another world. She went to explain about how he managed to destroy her barrier and erased her attack magic. In the end, she exclaimed Raizel as a stupidly strong guy. Raizel asked her if she wasn't embarrassed, and she also admitted it, as she just belittled herself to highlight him. Mersha explained that he brought him there in hopes of curing Cecil's illness. Mersha asked her to accept the treatment from him, and she accepted it as well based on Mersha's words. It showed how much Cecil believed Mersha. So they decided to start the treatment. Raizel introduced himself to Cecil and began his treatment. Mersha asked him to be careful since Cecil had a frail body unlike her. After checking, Raizel found that Cecil had hardened mana veins, which totally shocked Mersha, as she didn't hear about such an illness. It was a symptom where the people would have a stickier mana than normal, which affects the magic output in their mana circuits. Cecil asked him if it was a difficult illness to treat. Raizel assured her to not worry, as he picked medicine from his storage. It was a common disease in his world, and all it needed was some medicine to fix it. The medicine is an artificial nanovirus that would smoothen the man inside the body. It would take time to show effects, but it was enough to take one tablet, as it would be in effect for the rest of their life. Mersha and Cecil were shocked to hear this good news. Raizel asked Cecil to swallow the tablet. Cecil turned to ask for Mersha's opinion. As Mersha allowed it, Cecil ate the medicine in one go. After consuming it, Mersha asked her about the effects, but Cecil didn't feel any notable changes in her body. Mersha shouted at Raizel as the medicine wasn't working, and he reminded her that it would take a few days. Seeing their desperation, Raizel decided to advance Cecil's body for a few days and activated his magic and skipped about a week. Afterwards, Cecil felt her flow of mana inside was completely different from before. They both were happy as they cured Cecil's long-last illness, and Raizel felt happy as well as one of the problems had been solved. Afterwards, Cecil tried to use her magic as she was cured. She successfully reverted the vase to its original material. Raizel was amazed to see Cecil using high-level magic without breaking a sweat. Cecil was also happy as it was her first time. The sisters once again happy as Cecil was cured, and Cecil cleaned the nose of crying Mersha. Raizel explained that bad monasterol was an element that messed up Cecil's magic veins. Everyone has it regardless of whether it's apparent or not. But if they took his medicine, it would enable them to use magic so smoothly like never before. Mersha wondered why he was explaining all that. Raizel revealed that their whole troops power up instantly if they consumed those. Though it was shocking, Mersha wondered if it was possible to mass-produce those medicines even in their world. Raizel told them that there was no need to produce it as he had already stored a huge amount of those medicines. He had published it to the market for the children living in a country of poverty. Mersha could say it was a failed business in his world. Irrespective of that, she needed any help she could get to power up her troops, and Raizel was glad that he could help. Mersha got those medicines and went out to distribute them. Raizel talked with Cecil about his plans of making Mersha his companion. Cecil mentioned that it would be difficult. As Misha was the strongest in this nation and everyone believed her, and above all, Cecil felt that she would be lonely. But if Raizel really needed Mersha's help, Cecil agreed to not interfere if her sister agreed to go with him. Cecil prepared to work hard for her sister's share too, and Raizel found her reliable. He asked Cecil if she had any experience in governing and learned that she had no experience in it. Raizel took out another educational magic tool called a simulator. With that, she could be able to obtain knowledge from all kinds of experts. While they were talking, Mersha entered the room after distributing all of the medicines. Cecil welcomed her and she wondered what was going on. As per his instinct, Raizel caught her and mentioned that she came at a perfect time. He wanted to draw her memories, and Mersha also agreed to it. Afterwards, she was shocked as she realized what he meant by. Raizel assured her to not worry as her memories won't disappear and the simulator would only copy her experiences. He handed her the device to use it, and Mersha realized that it was a device which uses her memory as a teaching material. Raizel was glad that Mersha was quick to catch on. Mersha couldn't believe that Raizel was even capable of that. Raizel countered that it was due to the gap in their civilization. Mersha decided to help her sister and agreed to copy her memories. He set up the device and activated it. The device's requirements were all checked. Mersha's memories was imported into the device, and Cecil marveled the sight before her. The device imported all the memories, and thus the simulator for the leader of the demons had been completed. Raizel asked Cecil to press the red magic crystal in center to activate it. When Cecil pressed it, a screen was displayed with Mersha's image on it, and both was surprised. It asked a question about how Cecil would handle the last year's famine. Cecil selected the option 3, but the situation didn't get any better. So she decided to go with option 2 this time. Mersha and Raizel watched the cute Cecil working on her homework. In the end, option 2 was the correct choice. Mersha mentioned that they actually implemented that solution, and Cecil praised her. Raizel explained that's how Cecil would gain experience. Cecil said that she would do her best for the present and for the future. With that, Mersha knew that Raizel told her about her plans to go with him and mentioned she would rely on her. The next day, Raizel and Mersha began their stage 2 training to surpass the combined hero. Mersha worried whether it was fine to do their training in indoors. Raizel assured her not to worry as they would be using the magic repeller. Mersha found it cute based on the shape of the device. Raizel explained that the magic repeller would repel magic inside the room, making a room with low magic density. To do that, it would also dissolve the magic inside an organism as well. Mersha asked Raizel if it would affect the body as it would be disturb the flow of mana. Raizel mentioned that in a worst-case scenario, she would die if left alone with that. Mersha was shocked to hear that. Raizel found her reaction funny as always and asked her to not worry as they won't go that far. Her current assignment was to prevent her magic from leaving her body and control it using her own will. If she made even a little mistake, the complicated high-level magic circle would become useless. So Raizel asked her to control the magic in the most delicate way. He asked her to try lighting up the candle in her current situation. Mersha exclaimed that it was a simple matter and went on to light the candle. But it disappeared as soon as it lit. She tried to do it again and failed. She got so mad that she cursed that candle and lighted it. But she lost control in a minute and the light weared off. She throwed a fit and cried as her magic was dissipating again and again. Raizel teased her if she was going to give up. Hearing that, she refused to give up and decided to try until she could. Raizel praised her spirit and she shouted with a renewed determination. That's when Cecil knocked at the door as she had brought refreshments. Raizel asked her to be silent as he showed Mersha training. Seeing Mersha training so hard, they both smiled. As Mersha struggling, Cecil gave the tray to Raizel. She went ahead and sat opposite to Mersha and she began to study about management with the device Raizel gifted. Both of the sisters began to work hard and Raizel began to distribute their refreshments to them. After numerous number of tries, Mersha finally managed to light up the candle. Mersha and Cecil celebrated it. Raizel praised her for doing it as it was just her first time. There's no magic leaking and fire was also not going out, which was amazing. Mersha was proud as she did what she said she would. Mersha lied down as she felt tried. But Raizel decided to move to even more complex magic for her to learn. He asked Mersha to inform him when she was ready to use attack magic as he would teleport her to the arena again. Mersha asked him to teach her anti-travel sickness magic before that. On the other hand, Cecil was also willing to go there. Seeing that, Marcia exclaimed that Cecil had indeed become strong. After a month passed, Mersha and Raizel were training in the arena. Mersha practiced the magic taught to her by Raizel. She managed to successfully manifest the magic and Raizel found it satisfying that she cast a complicated magic successfully. Mersha deactivated her magic and was proud of herself as she just used activation and deactivation perfectly. Raizel praised her for achieving that with a month and decided to switch off the magic repeller device. Mersha knew that they didn't come to arena just to test her control. Raizel also agreed with that and casted a magic to create a solid wooden wall. He decided to teach solid magic to her. Mersha was amazed to see it. Raizel explained that it was the basics of solid magic. Mersha concluded solid magic as something where multiple layers of magic were stacked up on surface to form a solid body. Raizel explained that the solid magic need to be formed instantly. Building it one by one would be time-consuming and it would also crumble if they were hurt halfway through. Raizel inquired Mersha if she could do it. She was confident in her abilities so she agreed. She repeatedly spoke to herself that she could do it if she tried it. She casted the solid magic successfully and Raizel noticed that her concentration and the details of the wall were good. As she finished it, Raizel once again praised her. She exclaimed that it had to be expected as she was a demon lord. Seeing her talk like that, Raizel decided to check the wall she had carefully constructed. She was shocked to hear that and Raizel used his magic on it which created a huge explosion. Mersha was shocked to see that there was not even a scratch on the wall as it managed to stop Raizel's attack. Raizel mentioned that the new magic was 100 times greater than the two-dimensional shield. He asked Mersha's opinion about it. She felt that it was amazing but she still couldn't believe that she managed to build that from the scratch. Raizel asked her to add more layer to the magic as it was just a solid magic now. She began to do as Raizel instructed and created a new big shield. Mersha asked Raizel to take a look at it as she managed to create it and he gave a passing mark for that. She felt tired and lied down. That magic used a lot of concentration in a short amount of time. He complimented her once again and used recovery magic on her. He decided to give more practice about teaching control and the application of solid magic tomorrow as well. He asked Mersha if she need a break but she denied it. She exclaimed that she doesn't have a luxury to take it easy. Raizel always liked this characteristics of her. He decided to go a little harder on her this time. Although she was a little nervous, Mersha asked him to come at her. 6 months had passed. Raizel and Mersha went to the place that she mentioned. That place was her nation's food storage and their farmland. Raizel admired the view and commented that it must be hard to maintain farmland of this scale. Mersha also agreed with that as it barely rains on their land. That's why she and previous demon lords had been casting rain shower spells there for generations. Now Raizel understands why the demon lord had to possess a huge mana pool. It was a necessity if they needed to create an artificial rain magic big enough to cover the whole land. But Raizel knew that Mersha wouldn't call him only for showing the farmland. She was also glad that he noticed. Mersha was planning on using the multilayer magic Raizel taught her for situations like this. Since Mersha mentioned that she was going to use multilayer rainshower magic, Raizel inquired if she had already figured out the structure of the spell. Mersha mentioned she had already did that, but she was concerned as it was her first time doing something like that. So she was not sure if she could execute it perfectly. In the end, Raizel came to know that she wanted him to keep an eye on her while using magic. Because Mersha didn't want to cause magic explosions and harm her people. She felt embarrassed to ask him that. Raizel was amazed at Mersha's determination as she was using her training for duties. It showed how much she wanted to improve. Even though farming is not his field of expertise, Raizel asked her to show her spell to check its structure. Mersha was happy when Raizel agreed to help her. She casted her newly created multilayered spell. Raizel noted that there was magic of fertilization, nutrition, faster growth, and many more. It was indeed a blessed rain magic. He asked her to cast her self-made spell and also asked her to not worry as he would inform her immediately if there's anything needed to change. Since Raizel was there to back her up, Mersha's worry was reduced. She decided to calm down and focus as it's just like her training. She began to cast her magic and Raizel noted that the magic circle, structure, and mana amount everything looked good. He was amazed at her scary talent which enabled her to reach this far on her first time. He praised her and asked her to activate it. Mersha was so nervous as it was her first time to cast her self-made magic. She activated the magic circle and casted it above her head. The magic formed a bright ball and went above the sky. It reached the highest position in the sky and burst after some time. It began to rain all over the farmland and the citizens were also taken back at first. Then they began to enjoy their Lord's blessed rain. Some even noticed that the magic circle this year was so big compared to the previous ones. Mersha was also happy to see her people enjoying the rain. Then she remembered that she forgot to ask for Raizel's opinion. So she turned and asked him. Raizel complimented that it was perfect and that this year's harvest would be record-breaking. She fell down to her knees and cried tears of joy at her achievement. Raizel noticed Mersha, who didn't shed even a single tear during her training, was crying like a baby. He thought that she cared for her people that much but was unknown to him. Mersha was happy that she won't have to rely on overpriced trades from humans anymore. Raizel was shocked to hear that. At times like war, food was an important commodity. So the situation was pretty severe for them. Mersha also agreed to that and wondered if she could cast a defensive magic on the crops as well. If Raizel had been a bit late, they would have been in big trouble at this moment. Mersha thanked him for siding with them and it was only because of him, their people could have a full stomach. So Mersha was moved by Raizel's help. Raizel also looked forward to the harvest that year. More than anything, Mersha couldn't wait to see those human officials' faces. In the human royal capital, the king was trembling as he read the statement of profit from the official. Their sales had been 95% lower than usual. He was so mad and he threw the document at the official. He inquired about the reason for his reduced profit. The official explained that they met with only a small number of merchants from the demon's side. So they had decided to just meet up with the demon's border officers instead. However, the demon's self-sustainability was over 100% this year. So they rejected their trades as they don't need it anymore. Seeing the disappointed king, the official was frightened. There was once an official that got executed just because he upset the king. So he was now in a pinch of death. The king decided to teach a lesson to the demons. He asked his servant Raizel if the three heroes were well equipped and got the confirmation. He gave them the order to attack the demon lord's city. He wanted to kill the demon lord and add a new condition to the contract. It was about how they had to buy the same amount of resources every year. Raizel was worried and expressed his opinion. He explained that the three heroes were nowhere stronger and it would be a miracle if even one of them returned safely. The king also knew that, but he had another motive. According to the contract, the demons should not kill any hero. That's when Raizel also understood the king's motive. He wanted to force the demon lord to break the contract by killing those heroes. So they would have a reason to involve the combined hero. He planned to create another all-out war between humans and demons. Raizel mentioned his concern about how the dead heroes won't be able to fuse with the combined hero. But the king was not concerned about it. It was a crisis which reduced his profit, so he doesn't care about the death of some heroes. The king exclaimed that the heroes would die for humanity's honor. Raizel accepted his order and went to execute it. The king asked the officials in charge of trade to screw it off. He was also happy that he escaped death. As they left, the king looked at the document he had thrown. He doesn't know what trickery the demons used to become self-sufficient. But he wanted to show the consequences to them for disobeying the humans. On the other side, one of the summoned heroes, mercenary Banza, was strolling outside the audience chamber. He heard the world demon capital and attack from inside. Even though eavesdropping wasn't his speciality, he tried to overhear. He was shocked as he heard a few words that the king mentioned. Since he had already recognized the voice, he pondered about the words "kill the heroes," "combined hero," and "all-out war." He wondered if the king was planning to use them for something. But he still refused to believe it, as they could have killed them easily if they wanted to. There was no reason for him to nurture them using their resources. But he wondered what if the king really wanted to kill the summoned heroes. He finally decided to dismiss those thoughts as he felt that he was thinking too much. On the other hand, Mersha and Raizel teleported to a deserted place. They decided to have the simulation battle there. Since Mersha's power was different from what it was half a year ago, the usual arena would be destroyed if they fought there. This place was suitable as Raizel did not detect either villages or buildings nearby. It was also suitable for Mersha to go all out without any worries. Mersha commented about how Raizel knows her damn well. They both decided to fight each other without pulling any punches. Mersha casted the magic spear. She made numerous spears in the air and launched at Raizel. Seeing that, Raizel was aware that a simple barrier won't be able to block them all. So he casted a strong magic iron barrier. Mersha also knew that Raizel would block that, so she casted another attack magic, homing bolts. Seeing that, Raizel casted magnet counter. He repelled all her attacks and directed it towards her. Mersha was shocked to see her own magic turning towards her. She used a flash step and moved from there in an instant. Mersha successfully evaded those attacks, and it caused multiple explosions at the place she was before. Raizel complimented her and mentioned that it was now his turn to attack. He casted a magic spell which caused a huge mist to cover both of them. Mersha's senses were numbed by the mist, and she pondered about a countermeasure. She casted the antidote magic, hoping that it would make it in time before she lost her senses completely. Raizel was once again amazed to see her cast that magic. It was a magic he always used, which showed that she observed him completely. After some time, Raizel realized that something was wrong. It isn't just antidote magic, but she also casted attack magic. She casted a huge fireball magic on him and believed that she had dealt a blow. Much to her surprise, Raizel was not injured even in slightest. He was still dandy, which totally surprised her. Mersha wondered how it was possible, as Raizel didn't even make a barrier at that time. Raizel hinted to her to take a look at her magic circle. She looked at it for a second and was surprised. In her magic circle, the target was set to nothing. She realized the reason for her magic failure. Raizel mentioned that it was quite easy to rewrite the target on that spell. It would be also possible to change the target to the caster itself. So he mentioned that it wasn't good to use against people. Mersha realized that she got too carried away to get the win, and using a big technique was a mistake on her part. Raizel reassured her that it would work on the combined hero, as the combined hero wouldn't be able to rewrite magic circles like himself. Raizel also mentioned how she used spells that have short casting time and waited for a chance. It took some time, but she prepared her finishing hit during that time. He complimented her that it was a good plan. Raizel believed that as long as Mersha didn't let her guard down, she would be able to defeat the combined hero. So he complimented her for coming this far. Mersha believed that this much hard work is nothing if it's to defeat that combined hero. So they did a fist bump and decided to take a break. Mersha ate a sandwich and exclaimed that the training had its fun moments as well. She was super motivated since she got to learn a lot of new things, especially about the defense spells. Raizel was relieved to hear that, as he thought that she would lose her motivation upon reaching her target. Mersha was also taken back to hear it. Since she promised Raizel to become his companion, she intended to keep it. She needed to grow more so she could help him achieve his goal in his world. Raizel was glad, as she was different from the friends he had. Anyway, he felt that the sandwich tasted amazing. Mersha revealed that it was made by Cecil and Sieg, who were ranked either 1 or 2 in the kingdom in terms of their cooking skills. Raizel was surprised to hear that and realized that one couldn't judge a book by its cover. Raizel fixed the field they damaged and they decided to go back to the castle. Suddenly a huge shadow loomed over them and they turned around. A huge dragon was flying in the sky before them. It was quite angry at them for disturbing its sleep. Mersha was surprised to see it and Raizel wondered if she already knew the dragon before. Mersha shouted at him for being clueless and mentioned that it was her first time seeing one. She explained that the dragon was similar to the one in legends. About 10,000 years ago, a civilization that lived on this land was destroyed by just one dragon. Amidst the dragon destruction, those who were lucky enough to survive thrived on and gave birth to the next generation. Under the condition that they shall not disturb the dragon. And that dragon's name is John Cena, the slumbering ancient dragon. Mersha exclaimed that they really awakened something unbelievable. Raizel also realized that they had done something terrible as he also wouldn't like to be disturbed in his sleep. Mersha was shocked to see Raizel's attitude towards a dragon. He asked whether they needed to punch it back to sleep. Mersha was very mad to hear it as she didn't know where he got his nerves. The dragon's laugh halted their conversations. The dragon wondered what that puny demon was whispering, so he tried to listen to it. The dragon came to know that they wanted to punch him. Mersha berated Raizel for running his mouth and making it mad. The dragon used its breath to attack and exclaimed that he would turn their arrogant attitude into ash. Raizel asked Mersha to activate the absorb barrier which he used at the first battle against her. After the explosion, Mersha was surprised to see that she had managed to stop the attack successfully. The dragon was also surprised to see the puny demon stop its attack. Raizel explained to Mersha that she had surpassed that dragon long ago. Now she would be able to defeat that dragon in a heartbeat now. Mersha was surprised to hear that she would be able to defeat the slumbering dragon with her own hands. The dragon berated them for blabbering as they only managed to stop one of its attacks. Mersha recalled the contract about the ancient dragon. If it were to awaken, the combined hero would subjugate it. As the demons weren't strong enough, they would provide support and resources and become a bait. The demons also had to devote themselves to help humans during that period. They were no different than slaves at that point. Mersha was glad that she could nullify that section after defeating that thing. She decided to bring its corpse to delete that agreement. She made a weird maniac face and Raizel complimented her for making the demon lord's face for once. He asked her to go against it. While it might not be enough as a practice against the combined hero, this is her first fight which she should remember. Mersha was also excited to have her first fight against an ancient dragon. The dragon was mad about how the inferior species was running their mouths. The dragon announced that it would burn them down until there was no ashes left. On the other hand, Mersha decided to hunt it for the sake of demon's future. She casted her magic spear skill and created multiple attacks. The dragon used its signature move, its breath. It launched it at them as it asked them to feel its wrath. Both of those attacks caused huge explosions and the smoke covered the whole surface. When the smoke cleared, they saw the dragon which passed out from the impact. Mersha was surprised to see the fight which was already over. On the other hand, Raizel exasperated at the sight. While Mersha had grown beyond his expectations, the dragon was way too weak. Since it would be a pain in the butt if the dragon wakes up, she decided to finish it off. Raizel was also amazed to see how thorough Mersha was. He wondered what Mersha would do with the body. She revealed that she would use it for negotiations with the humans. But she was only going to show them a part of it as evidence. So she also wondered what to do with the body. She suggested using the body for creating magic tools as they couldn't waste the body of a dragon that is thousands of years old. Raizel pondered about the materials and got a new idea. Mersha inquired about it and Raizel laughed weirdly at that. Mersha pestered him to explain his idea and he asked her to not rush as he also required her help with it. The scene shifted to the demon lord's castle where Raizel and Mersha decided to give a present to Cecil. She wondered why they decided to give a gift. Mersha asked Cecil to just take it as Raizel would explain the reason later. As she agreed, they gave a sword to her which was made with the slumbering ancient dragon. Raizel explained that Cecil could use any magic stored inside it if she let her mana flow through it. Since it's made with Mersha's magic circles, only the demon lord bloodline would be able to use it. Cecil was unwilling to accept something amazing like that and felt it was a waste for her to use it. Mersha explained that even if they managed to defeat the combined hero, it doesn't guarantee a second or third won't appear. So she asked Cecil to defeat them in her place. Cecil also realized that she had that responsibility once Mersha was gone. She decided to accept it as she had already made her choice. Cecil put the sword using the storage magic and complimented Raizel for defeating the ancient dragon. But Raizel revealed that he wasn't the one who defeated it. As she heard it, Cecil was taken back a bit. Mersha revealed that she was the one who defeated it. Cecil complimented Mersha for that, and Raizel teased her to not forget about how scared she was at that time. Mersha was of course mad to hear that. Cecil asked if they used everything of the dragon to make this sword. Mersha explained that there were a lot of leftovers, so they decided to hold a festival. Cecil drooled as she felt that the dragon meat as the main dish was too tempting. Mersha planned to let everyone in the city have a taste of it. Cecil decided to gather all the workers to get them ready. Mersha asked Raizel to butcher the dragon meat and he happily complied. In the banquet hall of the demon lord's castle, everyone arrived to taste the dragon meat. Cecil, Mersha and Raizel watched the crowd eating the dragon meat. Cecil never thought that such a day where they would taste dragon meat would come. Mersha also felt like that, but she had to agree that it was delicious. Raizel explained that the dragon's meat would be normally hard, but when it sleeps for thousands of years, it ends up becoming softer. Mersha had finally managed to end her training and defeated the dragon in her first battle. It was because of her achievements that they got to enjoy a peaceful time like this. But they still haven't resolved anything and they've only begun. Mersha was determined to do everything she could to maintain this peace forever. But the real fight starts now, as the combined hero's strength is on a different level compared to that dragon. The combined heroes had that shameless goddess backing him after all. She's been controlling the humans in the shadows for thousands of years now. Raizel believed that she was dangerous as they didn't know what she had up her sleeves. Mersha and Raizel are determined to overcome this, and Cecil believed that they both would be able to accomplish that. Since Mersha would leave after this fight, she decided to leave all the diplomatic stuff to Cecil. She asked her to not go compromising on them later on. Cecil asked Mersha to believe her as she had already pictured in her mind about how she would be cornering them. She couldn't hold her back in excitement. Raizel and Mersha were shocked to see Cecil's weird laugh. Mersha fell down on the sofa as she couldn't afford to eat any more dragon meat. Seeing her state, Raizel teased her that she didn't look like a demon lord at all. Mersha was not a bit concerned about that as she was satisfied with her stomach super full. Cecil berated Mersha for acting sloppy. Suddenly, Mersha and Raizel sensed something. Raizel asked Mersha if she had also noticed it. Mersha replied that there were 3 people at the front gate. Raizel asked her about their identity to test her. Mersha could say that their powers vary a little, but she was sure it was the summoned heroes. The heroes reached the Demon Lord Castle at the king's command. Leol couldn't believe that they got there so quickly in a month. He felt that it was a bit anticlimactic. Since their target is the Demon Lord, Leol went ahead to call them without heeding Banza's suggestion. Banza had told them to not make any reckless moves, but they just never listened to them. Leol shouted at the front gate at the demon guards to call for the Demon Lord. The guards blocked them and were determined to not let an impolite orc get through this gate. Leol got angry as the guard referred to him as an orc. So he decided to attack him as a warm-up before confronting the Demon Lord. The guard was determined to protect even if it cost him his life. Raizel, Cecil and Mersha watched all those scenes through his drone. Since the situation was severe, they decided to interfere. Since Raizel was supposed to be dead, he decided to change his appearance. At the same time, the situation at the front gate became severe. The guard and Leol started to fight, but someone interfered in the middle of their clash. Leol was thrown back and his comrades came running towards him as they were concerned for his safety. A black cocoon appeared in front of them and moved slightly. The guard recognized their lord's magic. The cocoon opened and Mersha made her appearance in front of them. Raizel was behind her with his new appearance. She called the summoned heroes as filthy intruders who came to commit a crime. The heroes were shocked to sense a huge magic energy from her. It was evident that she was upper class and Leol would have been a goner if he attacked her again like before. The guards apologized to the Demon Lord and were ready to gather the troops to eliminate them. She denied it as she had something to talk about with them. Banza was relieved as the high-level demon was willing to talk with them. He believed that he could get some answers from her. Leol mocked her for being so cocky, but Banza stopped him. He asked Leol to give him some time as he had an idea. Banza said that they were not from this world and apologized for their impolite actions. He just wanted to know about one thing. Since it may sound rude, he asked the demon lord to listen to him in a respectful manner. Leol wondered if it was a new battle plan, and Frodo decided to leave it to Banza as he excelled at strategies. Seeing Banza, Mersha felt the situation seemed familiar when she met Raizel. He was the same as him who came to their front gates, asked for a fight and wanted to talk. She wondered if all the heroes summoned this time were like that. Much to Raizel and Mersha's surprise, Banza asked them about the words hero and combine. Banza inquired further about that as Mersha showed that she indeed knew something about it. She asked for Raizel's opinion on how to deal with them as Banza seemed to know something. But he left it to her own discretion. She informed them that they were changing the spot and asked them to prepare for teleportation. Other heroes were shocked at the development and asked Banza for the meaning behind his actions. Banza assured that it would be fine. Suddenly a magic circle appeared above them and they were shocked to see that. Frodo admired it as it was his first time to see a big and detailed magic circle. Leol berated him for that and the magic descended slowly towards them. They thought that they were tricked and were ready to accept their fate. After the magic circle descended on them, they heard a voice which asked the heroes to lift their heads. They were surprised to see they were alive. A clear voice welcomed them all to an audience with the demon lord. Mersha stood in front of them and introduced herself. They were surprised by the magic which was able to teleport them all in one go. She asked the summoned heroes to ask her anything they wanted to know about this world. Banza asked her what it meant by combined hero and the real reason for their summon. Mersha revealed that it was just as the name implies. For the past decades, summoned heroes like them would become fodder to be combined. The combined hero is the human's trump card and the demon's arch-nemesis. Banza was shocked to know the truth, but Leol refused to believe it and asked for a solid proof. Frodo on the other hand was calming Leol. Mersha understood their feelings of distrust, but she couldn't help it if they were so short-tempered. She left the rest of the job to Raizel. He greeted them in his demon form. But they were unable to recognize him. Seeing that, he decided to go back to his original form and removed the magic. He revealed his true form, which shocked everyone as he was supposed to be dead. Leol believed it was another trick by the demons. Raizel used the magic recorder and asked them to confirm it with their own eyes. He used that recorder and a screen of the king and the combined hero meeting was displayed in front of them. They were once again shocked to see the high-level magic of Raizel. It was the same as how Mersha was surprised when she met Raizel. They exclaimed that they never met the person in front of the king before and wondered about his identity. Mersha felt that the device was convenient and revealed that the person is a combined hero, a result of people like him together. Now Frodo refused to believe it as the combined hero looked just like any other human. Raizel asked him to see that number displayed near the combined hero. It was the combat power Raizel read from him when he came to this world. Seeing that, Frodo started to doubt why they were needed when there was already a strong hero. The combat power also revealed the possibility of heroes combined all this time. Mersha mentioned that they were nothing but fodder from the beginning. Other heroes were shocked and cried. They came to know that they couldn't go back to their world. Mersha also revealed that the demons had been suppressed with force and numbers by humans for years, and that was the truth of this world. She spoke in terrifying loud voice that she would pay back them for all the torture they endured. Banza pleaded to her to help them somehow. They were ready to become laborers or slaves and ready to do anything as per her wishes. Mersha asked for other heroes' opinions. Frodo also begged Mersha to help them as he needed to return back to his home no matter what. Seeing both of them do that, Leol also sided with them. All three of them pleaded with the demon lord to save them. Seeing that, Mersha decided to give their first order. She ordered the three of them to become dead corpses. All three summoned heroes were shocked upon hearing that statement. Like and subscribe to know about the fate of those summoned heroes and the future journey of Raizel and Mersha together. Click on the notifications icon to know more interesting stories like this.